Hello everyone, it's Amy and welcome back for Journaling on a Budget, Memory Lane. So I have the different tags and things that we made last week that I have them out here for us to work with. But first off, I wanted to show you how the spine worked out. I so wanted to come and check this out before I came on here, but I didn't. So we're going to reveal this together. So this is what I did. I put one of the pieces of wood on each side. The first thing I did was I glued down the center and let that dry. And then I put glue on the sides and put the two boards on there with parchment paper so they wouldn't stick if the glue came through. And then I just used some little clamps to clamp that on there. Now, if you don't have any clamps, you can close your book up. Just close it up so that your boards are against each other and put some rubber bands around your book and have a board on the outside to hold everything together. That just kind of holds that down while it's drying. So I do have to tell you one thing that I did, and I left it out here, but now I don't know what I did with it. So here it is. Remember how I said I like the green for the outside. I really don't care for the blue. And so I got it all ready. I glued it all together and I glued the green side down with the blue side out. And I looked at it and everything, and I just didn't like it. And this one, actually, I didn't spread the glue out when I put it on there. And you need to spread it out nice and thin so it doesn't soak through your fabric. And I'm not sure if you can see this or not, but it did soak through right here. So I didn't like the looks of that either. And so I just decided I was going to peel it off. I was very careful. I took off just a little bit of the book. I was also kind of lucky because I had not sanded the book. I forgot to. And whenever you're going to glue something shiny and you want it to be real sturdy, just take a bit of sandpaper and knock some of that shine off. You don't have to remove everything that's there, but just knock some of that shine down so the glue can get down into those scrape marks where you sanded it. So this was easier to peel off than it should have been because I had not done that. And like down in here, there was tape across the spine where the library had the library number on there. So it may not have stuck real well anyways. So I'm glad, I guess, maybe that I put it on backwards because that reminded me when it came off so easy to sand those spines and also to sand the edge of the book right along here underneath where the fabric was going to be so that the glue would stick really well. So here we go. We are going to take our clamps off. Hope it didn't stick. Hope the glue didn't soak through the fabric. Hope it didn't stick to this, but hope it did stick to the book. Okay, it's a little stuck right there. Okay, there's one. And two. And, it looks really good. It looks real good. I'm happy with that. Let's see what the other side looks like, and that looks good too. So that's awesome. We've got one down. That turned out great, so we're good there. Fingers crossed this one turns out good too. And they all seem to have stuck just a touch, and I'm not even sure if it was stuck or just from them being on there because I don't see any glue coming through. Very nice. And it's a little bit crooked. It's a little wider here than it is here, but that's okay. And the front looks really good. And I did not glue down underneath the fringy part. I only glued to here. And the way that I did that was after I had glued the spine and this piece was sticking out, I held it down and I just took a pencil and I just went underneath of it and I kind of put a mark right there. And I did that in a few spaces all the way down. So then when I put the glue on here, I knew to stay just on the inside of that line and cover all of that with glue. And so that I wasn't gluing my fringe down or getting glue way out to where I did not want it. So I am real happy with the way that that turned out. It's not perfect, but then again, it's very hard to get perfect when you're doing something by hand, and it's not so imperfect. Now also here, I had peeled off part of the book when I peeled the tape off that they had on the spine. So right there, we've got a little bit of that white showing, which really makes it noticeable that this is a little shorter. Should have been over a little. So I am just going to take just a touch What do we have here? I'm going to use some tea dye because this is kind of in that tone. Oh, the dogs always think that they, as soon as I start recording, they think they hear something. I want to hold that fringe back though. Let me see. I just don't want to get, that's not working. What do I have that will push that? Let me see. Let me try this ruler. A little bit more right there. There we go. Just get that in there. And it looks like we need it a little bit darker than that. So here's some walnut stain. Use that in a different spot because that's so dark. Just kind of blend those two colors together. Yeah, the walnut stain is a much closer color to the cover. And there we go. Got a quite white spot down here, so let's... There. Okay. Wipe it off the shiny part because it's not going to stick there. Much better. Now it's not real noticeable. And that's just the kind of thing that you do when you have something that happens, because things will happen. So just think about, how do I fix it? And just fix it. So, alrighty. So now we had done the tags and stuff for the circus and the train station. And so we're going to look at our map because I want to find out what number on our map those are. All right, so because the map pages are going to correlate with, or the map is going to correlate with the pages in our journal. So we have the candy store, the toy store, the fashion store, the art store, the hardware. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The school is 6. Okay, wait a minute. Where's my... All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so 7 is the train station. So I'm just going to write that down because 2 seconds from now I won't remember. All right, so, and keep all of your little bits. I'm going to use this to write on, but because you might want to make snippets or something, and keep all of your little bits, toss them in a box or something as you're making your journal, because then all of these things, if you want to make snippets or something like that, they will correlate with what you have in your book because they're the leftovers from your book. Okay, so 7 is the train. Okay. 8 is the farm. 9 is the trees. 10 is the lake. 11 is the circus. And then how many do we have? Do we only have 11 or do we have 12? Let's see. But then, ooh, don't set that aside. Make sure that if you're still not done with your map, that you keep your little original one so you don't lose it. Although, because this is what I did my map from, I copied this on my copy machine and it's stuck up in there in my box so that if I lose this one, that I can find another. Or I have another, because otherwise I wouldn't remember. Like, I couldn't remember where these went. And without having the map completely done, it'd be hard to figure out. So I'm going to just close up the map. And let's close it up over here because our map is under this front cover. So we're going to close that up. And then we're going to look at, so what do we have here? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 is our depot, okay. 8, 9, 10, 11 is the circus. Okay, so there are 11. That's the subdivision didn't have a number on it, so that's what I was wondering. Okay, so this is our circus. And we cut out quite a bit to do with the circus, so we're going to work on this spread today. Move this over so that, there we go, the whole spread's in there. So we had done our little tags that actually work like a puzzle, but it's 4 tags to go in our journal. So we have those to go in there. We have our 2 pockets, and I make myself notes all the time. So I want to put a thumb punch in these, and I reminded myself even to line it up at the top, because sometimes I just don't think about those things. And so we'll do this one first, and I think I'm going to grab my little cutter here. There we go. And I'm just going to cut these out. They're not the same size. Remember, one was a little bit skinnier than the other, which is going to be totally fine. We'll put the skinny one at the top just because it will look better. At least that's my thought, that it will look better. You could really do it however you want to do it. I need to just a little bit of white between the 2. Oh, didn't quite get enough there. Okay. This one still has white on the top. Oh, you know what? We're going to distress it. So that's all right. Okay. So then just push all of that off to the side. And then so we have our shorter one and we have our taller one. Make sure that they're right side up, because I just had that one upside down. I'm going to line them up. I'm going to line them up at the top. And then I pulled out a 1 1/4 inch punch, because I thought that that would be a nice size. Now you can measure it if you want to and kind of see where your center is. You can just eyeball it. Alrighty, so it's 6 3/4, so that would be 3 1/4 and 1/8. My husband loves the way I measure. Okay, so 3 1/4 and 1/8 is right there. Okay, I think that might have 3 1/4 and 1/8. Yep, that is the center. So now I'm going to line them up at the top, and we're going to, because these pockets are going to be on the same page, one above the other, we're going to punch them at the same time so that those punches are exactly in line with each other. And so I'm just going to, and you want to make sure that you line them at the top so that one of the holes is not bigger than the other, because if you line them up at the bottom, it will only catch a little bit of the shorter one. I want to hold it nice and tight. Put this on here. There's the center. And hopefully I'm not cutting off anything important on the other side. Uh-oh. Hello. So there we go. Now we have our little spots in the same place. So when they line up on our page, they'll be right lined up with each other. And I'm going to put a little bit of tea dye on those. I did grab a new sponge so that I wasn't leaving little bits. As your sponges really start to get older, they like to start shedding all over your project. So do one of 2 things. Don't do this over top of your project, or you can also cut your sponge down a little bit to where you're on a solid part. This is the part that's all tore up. So you don't have to get a new sponge each time. You can just cut down your old one a little bit until it gets to the point where you don't have enough left to do that, and then get a new sponge. And I got a new sponge because I actually lost my old tea dye sponge. I don't know where it was, but it was in really bad shape anyways. Maybe I tossed it. I like to kind of like on the corners, and I don't know why, but I kind of like to just kind of come in a little bit on the corners. There we go. So now the difference of the way that that looks versus the way that this looks. And it just looks a little bit nicer with the edging, I think. And that is totally whatever your preference is. And if you don't like it, you don't need to put it on there just because everybody else does. If you don't like it, you don't like it. And you do it the way that you want to do it. If you don't have them, then don't worry about it. You know, and if you have any other kind of coloring, if you want, you can use that on the edges. It doesn't have, and it definitely does not have to be distress inks. This is how Tim Holtz showed people, you know, a thing they could do with their distress inks. And so everybody started doing it. But a distress ink is just an ink. Anything you can do with that, you can do with anything else. So, and actually, the distress inks are water soluble. So if you get them wet afterwards, it's going to smear. Where if you use something that's a permanent type ink, it's not going to. So, you know, don't think that you have to have them. I have them because I bought them in a D-stash. On YouTube, when I first started, I had no crafting things, no paper crafting things. And so, you know, I just kept my eyes open. And when I found a really good deal, I went ahead and bought it. Now, not sure if we want to put, we're going to put, okay, this is the larger of the tags. So we're going to put that at the bottom. And then we'll leave a little bit of a space and put this one at the top. But I don't know if these are going to fit in here real well. They're going to kind of overlap there. And then the very top one, I think, is going to wind up sticking. Yeah, it's going to stick out of the book. So we're not going to put these tags in these pockets, although I had thought 2 in each would be great. And if we wanted to, we could. We could take, and you don't have to do top and bottom either. You could do it however you want to. Okay, so these were the 2 top ones. They could be put in like this so that they don't stick out. And these could also be put in that way so that they don't come up on the other one. But we'll see, because we have other tags and stuff, so, or we can even make more tags. So maybe we don't really want to put those in these pockets. Maybe we want to put them somewhere else. And so, but I do want these pockets, and I like the looks of this here versus over here. And this is our spread, so it doesn't matter what's anywhere else, you know, like, because this is where we are going to put it. So I'm going to put it on the outside edge, and it's going to leave us a little room in the center, which is great. It's good not to bind up this center, because sometimes that makes your journals get a little bit bound and they're hard to open and shut. And then I just need to decide, do I want something in the background? I grabbed out a few stencils, and there's a lot of orange in this, so orange might be nice to do a little bit of stenciling with. And I just grabbed some stencils that, so these are just some little different size dots, and this is actually one of the stencils that I made. It's hard to see, I don't know if you can see it at all. I made this for myself with a larger paper punch and a smaller paper punch, just because I didn't have any stencils, so I made my own. But I really do like the way that it looks, and this is how I store my stencils. I store them in file folders. I stencil on the front of the file folder what's inside, and then I mark it, and I cut my file folders down to kind of fit the size. Then I just have them in a box in graduated sizes. So, you know, the taller, see now this one here is skinnier, but it's taller, so this would go behind like that, and then, you know, they just go up as they sit in my box. But now this one I pulled out because I thought, well, that might work for the farm, but I just realized that it would work, but I'll have to make sure I stay in the center because I don't like that along the outside edge. This is more of a mask, or it seems to be coming out. It seems, well, no, this is how they all look. It's just the edges that I don't like. So, but that will work for the farm. But this one actually might look nice on there because I just want a little something. I thought this balloon might look nice somewhere at the circus, but not on that page. Just a little bit of burlap and the bubble, because they are, I thought the measured would work good for the seamstress store. And then these are just some more. This is just a stencil again that I made way back in the beginning. And I just hand cut that with a X-Acto knife, or possibly maybe a heat tool, but a stencil cutter, not a wood burner. And then I thought, because these are just nice edgings, that they might look nice somewhere, not on this. So I think for this page, I really do like the dots the best. And I think that orange would be a good, because they're just really small. They'll really be kind of in the background. Hopefully they won't be. Oh, those are pinks. The orange sponge was there, but not the orange ink. There we go. And which one do I want? I'm going to take a piece of paper and I'm going to see what they look like. Okay, that's not super bright. And that one is a little brighter. So let me look at those two colors compared to what's here. I think I like the lighter one better. That is Wild Honey. So that is the one I'm going to use. And even that, you can keep it, because when you rip that and put it in a snippet, the color does you some good. All right, so I'm just going to, I don't need to like really stencil the whole thing, so I'm just going to kind of look at this and say I need to stencil there. And because this is really thick acetate, I really learned after I started doing these, I learned that thinner plastic works better. To me, it's easier to get your ink through a thinner plastic. You think that this is super thin, but you really do have to almost press in every spot to get the ink to go through the stencil. If you just kind of pounce lightly, well, it's doing all right, but it does work better with a thinner plastic. So, and that's all just totally preference. Whatever you prefer is what you do. But if you don't have any stencils, you can make them yourself. If you have a die cutting machine, you could die cut out of plastic and use those. Now, you know, you couldn't sell those stencils because that's somebody else's design. But I don't see why you couldn't use it as a stencil on your projects. Alrighty, so let's see. So that one is there. This one's going here. So now I just need to do the top section. And I think I want a little bit over here. And I think if I need to do a little touch-ups, I'll do that in a second. But I want some. I'm going to pick up these three right here. There we go. And you can always just look and say, do I need one here or there? All right, so that's going there. And we're going to do the top section also. And just a nice way to make your paper not look totally plain. But if you like plain, you can do that too. Or you can stick collage down to it before you do your pockets. There's so many different things that you can do. And you just kind of pick the things you like. I really like stenciling on pages that have pockets because it gives it a nice look, but the stencil doesn't get in the way of you putting stuff in and out of your pocket. I find if I put other stuff on there, sometimes it gets in the way and I'm trying to put something in or out of the pocket. And, you know, I have to like hold that up or move it over, or, you know, sometimes the tag doesn't even fit well because something is in the way. So I think that, just put that up there. I think that looks good, I'm pretty sure. Put our pockets up there to make sure before we glue them on, because it's easier to stencil. Even though you don't need to stencil under the pockets, it's easier to stencil if they're not in your way. So that looks really nice. Gives that page some interest. We could even do a really quick This is the one. I don't know which one I was using. I'm going to put just a little bit around the edge. Why not? And all of this stuff is really just preference. Sometimes to me, I really like to have things edged, and other times, I think, oh, it's just because I'm lazy, but it really isn't. Sometimes it just doesn't. I'm just not in the mood to have the pages edged. I just want them to be plain. So you do just whatever feels right at the time, because there isn't a right or wrong way to do anything. Not when you're creating, because creating is whatever comes out of your mind. So don't ever let anybody tell you that you did something wrong. If you did it the way that you wanted to do it, then you didn't do it wrong. Okay, there we go. Now that's going to give it just that little finishing touch. And we're going to glue on our pockets. I like to use wet glue for the pockets. Okay, so I want the largest one on the bottom, so that's this one. And again, it doesn't need to be thick. It just needs to be along the edge. And I don't like to use double-sided tape for sure. If you use double-sided tape, what can happen is when you stick your tags in there, that tape never dries. It attaches, it adheres, but it's always sticky. And even the edges of a lot of your tapes are a little bit sticky. And so what happens is you stick your tag down in there, kind of pushes into that tape just a little bit, and then your tag is stuck on the tape. Now, it's not stuck so hard that you can't get it out, but it's still stuck. So I don't ever use double-sided tape on a pocket. And, you know, that again is your preference, but it's just not the best idea just for the fact of your tags are going to get stuck. But if you do, and they especially, I only have double-sided tape. I don't have any glue. Use your double-sided tape, but then take a Q-tip or something, or even a piece of paper and put powder on it. And then take that powder and put it in along all the edges so that it makes the tape not sticky. So you can use it, but you just want to de-stickify it. Okay, so that looks really nice. I really like those pockets. I like how this is going to work out with the two pockets that match. And it just gives you a little extra space. Did I do this in the right spot? Oh yeah, the Circus is 11. Yeah, okay. Boy, for just a second there, I thought I put it where the train was supposed to be. And if I did, since I'm this far, I would just, at the very end, change the numbers on the map and make the Circus whatever page it was, and make the train station whatever page it was. That looks pretty straight. I'm just going to eyeball it. I figure if it's running along the edge of the page, it should be straight. And it looks straight, both here and here. So we're going to say it is straight. And then we'll just do some. Now we could collage some tags to put in here with different circus bits or that type of thing. Here we go. And a lot of times, you know, I may stick a book on this when I'm done, but I don't always stop for, you know, for things like this, because so long as I just keep pushing it down every so often, and like I said, at the end, usually when I'm all done and I walk out of the room, I'll just stick a book on there just to hold it, unless it's been a really long time. So we have those pockets. What else did we have to go with the Circus? Okay, so we have those 4 tags. We have this large journaling card. we have this whole page. Let me see, we had these little tags were for the train. These are people in the train, lady on the train, and some little kids at the train station, and then an actual train. So those go with the train, so those are not part of it. Okay, so we don't have any small tag stuff out right this second to put in there. But, and I do think that these also coloring-wise, the coloring of these, although they do have the red in them, doesn't really look the best with those pockets either. So we're going to put those somewhere else. Now this one we were going to tuck it in. So the first thing we're going to do is cut off the excess page. And down here too, this is going to have to be cut anyways, because it's going to be too tall or long or whatever. Again, get yourself a box and put all those things together. Okay, so we could put this in here as a flip. That gives us even more space to write, and it gives us more circus page. So, but now we have to decide, because this is too big, how are we going to now... Edge to edge, it's okay. I think maybe let me see, draw and take that off. Yeah, I can cut that off right there so it's next to the picture. So I have to decide though, top to bottom, it needs to be cut. And it needs to be cut here, which is right through the middle of this picture. So I'm thinking maybe cut it right in this area here. It says wild and ferocious animals. I'm going to cut it right under there, and then it should fit. Again, great for snippets. It's got all of these different little, looks like these are all birds across the bottom. So good for little snippets. Keep those, set them aside. I think I'm going to take off just a little bit more. Okay. And then let's give this a look. Okay, so top to bottom, now that fits right within the space that we have. And I am going to cut off this little bit of white over here. That'll move it in just a little bit. Plus I cut it so crooked that I don't want it on there. So that's going to go in there like that. And okay, it's not too long this way, so I'm just going to leave that. Now I have to decide how I want to hook it in. Now, sometimes these are things you should think about ahead of time. I was going to put a piece of paper on here and glue the paper down to here. Totally fine, except now I'm going to go over top of that. So now I have to think. But I'm thinking what I could do is put a piece of paper on here that sticks out and then glue it to this side. Like that. And then just bend that piece of paper that way. So that's going to work. So that's what I'm going to do for that. And we have a piece of this left over, so that will work out perfectly. I'm going to move this because I'm going to want to get glue right out to the edges of this piece of paper. Okay, now this is going to be like this. This is going to show on our yellow page. And I think I would rather have the prettiness show. This end might be prettier even. No, this way's better. I want the prettiness to show on the yellow page, so I'm going to glue it right along here. And then I'll just put it on the page and cut off the bottom. I'm not going to worry about the length until I get it glued together. A lot of times I like to not cut things until I've got them glued together, because then I don't have to have perfection in how I line them up. If I make it exactly the length of this and I get it off just a little bit, then that bothers me. I don't really care that it's in the center this way, but I do want it to be even up and down. And I'm pretty sure that I need to move this over just a little bit. And maybe I'll just kind of give that a quick look. That is 3/4 of an inch. And 3/4 of an inch. Get the gluey paper out of the way and press this other one down. Not sure what's going on with the edge of this piece of paper. The trimmer must have. Okay, now I can always even put something there to decorate over top of that. I don't want the wrinkles in there, so I'm going to take them out. Another snippet. Okay. So we're going to come back in here. And I think I'm going to go ahead and fold this over first. Get a nice crisp fold on it before I glue it down. And that one is going to be glued on there just like that. Try and get everything out of there. Okay. Yeah, that looks good. So that's the way that I'm going to do that. Excuse me. I think I'm going to use Fabri-Tac. Let me grab it. Just because it dries quicker so we can keep doing a few other things. And something like a flap. This is the piece that's holding it into the book. It's taking all of the weight. You have to wait for it to get to the bottom. And the Fabri-Tac doesn't leave as many wrinkles either because it's not as wet. It's kind of like a wet glue that's not really a wet glue. And I kind of think of it as a cross between wet glue and hot glue. Is kind of what it reminds me of. So I'm going to put that right in there. Kind of center it with a little bit of the back page at the top and the bottom. And fold it over. Now I like the way that that little bit of laciness looks on there from the doily when I dyed the paper. Okay, I'll just show you that little bit of doily. I don't know if you can see it or not. I can't really see it through the camera, but it's really pretty on there. Okay, so now we have this flip, but so this is still Circus, this is Circus, and this is Circus. So then, this is a really nice writing spot. Don't think I want to do any more to it. the only tag that we have left. If I can figure out what I did with the tags. There they are. So we have this tag, which we could hook on to here and do it as a flip out. Move that over. Hold on, let me wipe this off. Only bad thing about Fabri-Tac is it likes to ooze out if you don't put the top back on. Oh, and it takes forever to get from one end to the other when it starts to get low. I thought about putting this one on here and doing it as a flip up, but I actually, now that I know what pages we're on, I really like this against the yellow. It looks perfect. So the question is, do I want to do a pocket or do I want to put it on here as a flip? And if we do it as a flip, then we'll have more area here to play with. We could do that as a flip. I'm missing one of our journaling cards, but it's here somewhere. And then I could take these journaling cards, put a pocket at the bottom, do that as a flip, and put those in the pocket that's back here. And put a pocket right there. I think that that looks good. So let's see. I don't think I have, I know I don't have any yellow distress ink, but I think, I wonder what the orange would look like. Just kind of trying to, because I'm thinking that might kind of tie it all together. And I think I'm going to distress these two, but only on the edges, not on the inner parts that are going to fit together, because then I think when you fit them together, well, if I could figure out which one goes where. Oh, this lady's upside down, that's right. So I don't think that when you fit them together, you want a big dark line, no matter what color it is, going through the center of your puzzle. But it would look good, I think, going around the outside edge of the whole thing. And the orange would look nice with that because of the coloring in their outfits. So let's do the orange. And again, this is the honey. Yeah, this is the honey. So it's the lighter of the two. It still seems a little bit darker. But yeah, I think that that looks good. And again, just a little bit more finished. What did we put on the back of these? Tea-dyed paper. And again, just the 4 outside edges. There we go. Okay. We'll set these out over here. Like that. I think that's kind of cool. Let me know what you think. If you think I should edge the inside parts, because then you would see that it's kind of like a puzzle, but I'm still just not sure about that. And I think this is looking nice on here too, because I think if I did it in yellow, it would just blend in too much. And because this is one spread, it also kind of ties the whole thing together. So that's going to go on there. And we'll do that one as a flip out. And I think maybe, let's see, I brought out some washi tape. Here. Yeah, I think that this one will work good. I got this on clearance at Michael's for $3.99, which normally even that seems like a lot to me, but there is a lot in here. And I think that this one would look really good. So we're going to use this washi tape. Oh, and it's yellow and red. I thought it looked like it was orange and red, so that's kind of cool. I'm going to put it on the back side. So that will be long enough. And then I have to decide, I'm going to put the red side on the tag. Move this again for a second. This side of the tag. And I think that I'm going to just put a little bit of Fabri-Tac on there. Ah. Okay, let's see. All right, so it's going to be this edge of the tag. Like that. I do like that it's see-through, so I can kind of see if I got it straight. It's not perfectly straight, but it's pretty close. Alrighty, so there we go. And then I'm going to fold this back. And while I've got that folded back, I'm going to trim around that corner. There we go. And then we'll put a little bit of Fabri-Tac on here. And it doesn't have to be totally covered or anything, but it will just, because even if you only have the glue in, in some spots, that will hold it on along with the tape, just to make sure that, okay, cover that up because it's sticky. Put the lid back on here. Alrighty. Then try and fold this back over. Line up the edge of the tag with the edge of the page, kind of center it top to bottom. And give it a really good press. And then open it up, yep, right away to make sure you didn't glue it shut, because I did. So wipe that off. So there we go. Now we've got that. And then these 4 tags. And you can kind of do them, kind of decide how you want to arrange them. And they will go in a pocket right there. So that's good. Maybe a little stenciling in the back there. Those are going to go in a pocket. Maybe just put them in straight even. And so those are all journaling cards. Journaling spot here, writing spot above the pocket there, writing spot on the whole back of this one, and then tags to go in there. So we will finish this off by getting a pocket for here for these tags and make some tags for this at another time because we're out of time for now. But, and I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to edge this in the orange just to tie every one of the pages together. And I will probably edge the yellow page also. But that will just kind of make them all tie together. But then again, it's all up to you what you want to do about it. Because I don't, you know, the yellow page is pretty bland. I am definitely going to do that too. And bottom. There we go. So there we go. That's what we have for today. I think that that is looking really good. I like how it's looking. Again, maybe some stenciling there, or maybe a paper clip to hold this down and decorate things up, but still leave that as writing space. Maybe just a little bit of a stencil. And there we go. This one I'm not doing anything to because it's got that beautiful lace on there in our pockets. And then when we close up our book, we now have the spine. We didn't put the eyelets in today, so we'll have to put the eyelets in on another day because I don't have the time, but I will have to remember to do that before we get much further. And the book gets too hard to put those eyelets in. This one's going to be easy right now, so long as I don't get a bunch of stuff put in there before I do it. I'll put the eyelets out here to do those next. So thank you very much for stopping by. I really hope that you're enjoying this series. I'm having fun doing it, and I hope that you all have an outstanding day. Bye-bye.